One of the biggest things I've learned, especially from a sales perspective, like when we think of sales, what does it mean to be a salesperson? And when I dig deeper, I think of relationship building, and I think of going on a first date. And I think, okay, when I'm speaking to someone, should I throw up all this shit that I just memorized and spit it out on them? The problem with loan officers, in my opinion today, and probably always, is that they're so consumed with closing the deal now, right? Nobody wants to put the freaking effort to give value. And when I say give value, if I'm talking to you, Vikram, you're a real estate agent, utopia. Well, we're not listening. We're just talking all day. That's where I think the biggest disconnect is. When I think of sales, it's honestly making someone feel good. And then it's also having the mindset of serving, right? Like our job truly is to serve our clients, even our non-sales people. This is a sales mindset where you have to be able to speak sweetly.
You're listening to the number one real estate podcast in the world, where we talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, stories, help you win in your local market today. My name's Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined in Vikram Deal of the Real Estate Sales Academy. He likes to throw in. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Vikram, what's happening? You know, it looks like you're enjoying a nice little Starbucks, which is very odd. Very odd.
They do not
very
sponsor
odd.
us. They do not sponsor us, so therefore
But we're both in
decaffeinated coffee.
Yeah. But we're in. No.
Bleep that.
I'm not bleeping it out. I'm not bleeping it out at all, because we're in Colombia and you're drinking Starbucks.
It's like mold.
That's actually
Like
a
we're
great
in-
point.
Like we're in Colombia, the capital of coffee, and you're sitting there drinking decaffeinated coffee. That is the strangest thing
There's cocaine.
I think I've ever heard. Oh, okay, that's there. Okay,
Yeah,
It's
so I'm
very
still.
interesting.
I'm very Colombian. It's just
Okay.
I don't snort it because that would make me a drug addict. But if I put it in my coffee, then it's just caffeine. It's just an up.
Well,
It's just an
you
up.
do you do
Yeah.
you, bro.
I love the taste of coffee. I went about 3 years without coffee, and then when I was doing the project for the second time, it was ice cold. We just got out of the ice bath, and all they had was coffee. And I drank a little bit of coffee there right after the ice bath, and I had a little bit more, and I had a little bit more, and then I went like 5 cups deep. And ever since then, now I do my coffee, but I don't need caffeine. Like most people need caffeine to get up. Like I need a downer in the morning. Yeah, Cody's like, I need 7 coffees. I'm like, bro, you drank a whole pitcher of coffee. He's like, yeah, but I need more. And I'm like, I need a downer in the morning, not an upper, because I just jump out of bed and I'm like 1 speed only. So I like the taste of coffee. I like lattes. I put a little bit of honey in there, a little bit of butter, mix it all up, and I drink decaf. And I have like 1 cup a day. And most of the places in Colombia think decaf is like Satan walked in. And so there's only 2 places that I can find decaf at. So that's why it's this place that we don't say the name of, because 1, they don't sponsor us, and 2, everything they make is literally chemicals, and I can prove it. So I just get the coffee, moldy beans, drink it up, and I feel good. What about you, bro? Tell me a little bit about your day.
I'm good. I don't drink decaf coffee because I just think it's a little weird. It's strange, but like, you know, you do you. And but you know, things are good, man. Things are good. You know, headed to Santa Marta this weekend, hang out with the team.
Yeah.
Flying to Nashville in a couple of weeks to hang out with Sharon and some other mastermind people that we are going to kind of I'm really excited about that. We're going to get together with a bunch of people, like Aaron Stokes, some good friends that are doing some really cool things in business. And yeah, man, things are good. Life is good. I really can't complain. But I'm really excited for today. I'm really excited to have Samir with us here on the podcast.
We didn't even get to talk about anything else. We're just going to go right into Samir. Oh,
Yeah, we are.
Samir must be a special guest.
Samir is a special guest.
I very special. Did you ride little bus? Little bus or a big bus? Very big bus or very little bus on the way to school?
Double decker.
Oh my God, he is very, very, very special.
This is a very, very special episode of the Our Agent podcast. Me and Samir got connected. Yeah, I know. Me and Samir got connected through Sharon, and Samir is on the lending side of Real. And yeah, we've had some really great conversations around ethos to business, around like discipline, around mindset. And there's a lot of things that I really want to unpack today in the podcast. Like Samir and I chatted this week just kind of about like business, about life, about mindset. And it was like really great to just kind of dive deep with people that just get it, and about collaboration. And like we chatted about collabs the other day, but then I got to chat with with some of the marketing people behind Real around collaboration, and just really feeling the difference that of the types of agents that Real is attracting. And I want to get into that, especially on the lending side, and kind of what your focus is. But why don't you give us like kind of high level overview and like kind of the SparkNotes version within a minute about how Samir got to Real today, what you're doing on the lending side?
Is SparkNotes like a Canada thing, bro?
I've heard of Cliff Notes. I don't know.
Yeah. SparkNotes must be it's like a version of Cliff Notes. Give me the Cliff Notes version. Yeah, it must be a Canadian thing for sure. Okay. Yeah, the Canadian A is coming out of me. But Samir, what's good, my man? How's it going?
It's going great, guys. Thanks for having me on. I mean, this is going to be a lot of fun, and hoping to talk some schmack to each other as well while we're doing this. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, guys. Look, how I got to Real. Interesting story. Been in the business for about 20 years, kind of worked my way up as a loan officer through the chains, and saw a lot of things and a lot of interesting things. And through a common mutual friend, introduced, myself to Samir and the team, and they were looking to work with a mortgage company. So we were talking more about high level shit around, what's going on in the industry. Where do I see the industry going? What are some of the pain points, friction points between agents and clients and mortgage company and title companies, all these other fun stuff. And then we got thinking like, wait a second, is there a bigger play here? Is there an opportunity to work with what I believe to be one of the largest real estate brokerage companies in the nation, forward thinking about the client experience, not just their own pockets, and really digging deep for the client experience. And that's where we started really just, jamming and figuring out strategies around different things and where do we see it. And one thing I'll never forget, one of the first conversations I had with Samir, he asked me, he's like, so where do you see the real estate market going? And I was like, that's a really loaded question, bro. Like, it could go a million different directions. But I told him, I was like, my why every day when I get up, it's not about what I'm doing today. Obviously, we want to service our clients and create, frictionless process and all those great things. But how are our kids going to buy? What is my kids who are, I have twins who are 13, a younger one is 11. What's their experience going to look like? They're used to the Amazon way. They're used to seeing a box, picking it up, and checking out immediately. And as we know in real estate, there's a lot of pain points and friction points in the entire process, not just mortgage. So we put our heads together. I really thought, in my opinion, in my belief, mortgage is a very, very important, integral part of the home buying process. Like, you can make or break a deal with mortgage. So how do we create an experience where it doesn't feel as overwhelming, right? Like, if you talk about a home buyer, they're like, I don't want to do it. Why? I'm too busy right now. Why am I too busy? Oh, it's too difficult. Every excuse comes out because honestly, it's a shit show. I mean, we're in 2023 and the entire universe is moving towards automation. Fine, mortgage has seen some, real estate has seen some, but you're talking about the biggest transactions of their lives, and they still have to go through paper and manual processes and not knowing who's doing what, and everyone's finger pointing at the end when you're trying to close. I was like, this is stupid. And again, being in the industry from the old school, if you will, from 20 years ago till now, that was my belief. Like, this is absurd, and there's something bigger that can be done here. So we decided to join forces.
What's up?
We were at a NAREP event, me and Vikram. We were both speaking at a NAREP event, and there's so much information out there in the ecosystem that like a lot of agents just aren't aware of. Like, when we were chatting with, I forget who we were chatting with, but there was a bunch of banks there, and they were talking about access to grants. They were talking about access to money that, a lot of agents don't know about, or a lot of agents don't want to go through, or maybe the lender, for example, doesn't want to necessarily file the paperwork that's required in order to get the person a deal. What do you see the next 20 years of lending look like, and how do we get people in the US and, in Canada, like eventually, access to these grants or access to this information, or speed up the process? Like what does that forward thinking look like in your view?
Yeah, no, and that's a great question. Look, a hot topic right now is home affordability. If you see some of the news coming out today, whether you agree with it or not, I mean, they're trying to make it not as expensive for people with lower credit scores to get homes compared to people with higher credit scores. And they're actually kind of, paying Peter to rob, paying Paul to rob Peter, whatever that phrase is. But basically what they're doing is they're basically penalizing people with higher credit scores. I don't necessarily personally agree with that way that they're doing it, but the direction of where the country is going and where home buying is going is home affordability. And look, I think that happens in waves. I remember in 2006, 2007, 2008, same type of thing was happening, right? You have banks that are opening up. Now, granted, they were subprime loans where people had no business buying those homes and there's no documentation involved. This is a little different where these products are out there like DPA, down payment assistance, right? I do believe that there's more out there now, or more awareness, I should say, that's out there now on products. But to me, where things need to change, and I believe this even philosophically with anything, whether it's social issues or financial issues or whatever, there needs to be more education, right? At a younger age. If you think about it now today, most kids going into college and high school don't know what even the home buying process is about. They don't know what their credit score should be. They don't know how much money they need to save. Why? Because it's just not something that's important. And if you go into and the reason why I think these DPA programs are successful, which I think they are helpful in certain situations, but these are becoming more and more popular. Why? Because there was a lack of education to begin with. Right. So to me, it starts with education. It starts with working with kids in college, for example, right? I think college is a great area. We have I went to Drexel University, right, in Philadelphia. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that college, but they were huge at the time in co-ops where people had to work 6 months of the year, go to school 6 months of the year. There was entrepreneurship classes. There was, hey, let's do a presentation, resume building, all these things that weren't heard of during the college days, right? For me, aging myself a little bit here, but back in the day, I sound like my dad. But I think the education piece is important. So I do believe 20 years from now, yes, there should be more and more programs. But if you look at the programs that are coming out, they're for people who primarily don't have great credit scores, maybe don't have a grasp or understanding of what their financial situation needs to look like, have never prepared. They know that rents are going up. I need to move the hell out because it's too fucking expensive. So I'm going to go buy a house. But what happens? I want to buy a house with 0% down. I don't have any money. Okay, if you think about that logically, yes, we should give them an opportunity for sure. But if they don't know how to manage their finances, how are they going to manage it when they move into a house? Because there's unforeseen expenses that happen. So to answer your question, to me, it needs to be more education. I do think there's going to be more products coming out. But, just to put it in perspective, we're seeing today the average credit profile is kind of going down. It's not improving. Credit scores are getting lower. What I'm hearing is in 4 to 5 years, the average credit score maybe 620. And I do think credit scores are a little bit interesting. That's another topic in itself. But, there's a little bit more innovation that they need to do on their side. But at the end of the day, I look at buying a home just like running a business. Your P&L. How much money are you bringing in? What are your expenses? How much cushion do you have for a rainy day? That's how you buy a home, just like you buy a business.
So getting into education, right? Because I think when we talk about education, and I think this is one of the reasons why Sharon, who connected us all, that's the mutual gum here to this relationship, we are really big on education. Like our companies are really big. Real's really big on education. I'm really big on education. Cody's really big on education. We want to train our clients to be better. The real estate market has a lot of noise, but I don't feel it's got a lot of great education. There's a lot of things that people say to do busy, but look, I don't give a fuck if you are the queen and king of the contract. If you don't know how to get a buyer to sign it, it don't matter.
Doesn't matter.
When it comes to education, right? Like, what do you, because at the NAREP event, and I've been in real estate, retired my business in 2018, but we did $250 million in sales. We were out there meeting with lenders. We were out there meeting with different finance professionals. We were out there meeting with different people that had money to figure out what systems worked, because we had Chinese buyers, we had Indian buyers, we had Amazon buyers, we had Microsoft buyers, we had legal citizens, we had immigrant, we had everything to deal with, right? And then we had people that were super rich, like they could buy everything cash and they could buy whatever they wanted next to Bill Gates. And then we had people that were like, hey, we've been in the country for 2 years. We send our parents $10,000 a month. We take care of like 19 different kids. What is the process for an agent to get educated? Because when one of the things that trips me out always when I go to an event and the person says, did you know about this? And 3 hands go up out of 1,000. It's not even like 3%. It's like 0.003% that actually know about these programs that could help these potential buyers. But then it also comes down to like, well, I only want to work with now buyers. I don't want to educate anybody. Real estate agents say, I don't want to educate people on how to actually buy a home because they just want now buyers. So like the whole cycle's like totally fucking flopped on its head.
Yeah.
What can a loan officer, right? Because we have loan officers that listen. What can a lender do to actually provide value to the real estate agent to help the real estate agent win more clients and be an asset versus a fucking liability?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it goes on to partnership, but it's funny you say that, right? As you're speaking, I'm thinking about my journey and what I was going through when I was coming into the industry. I came in from Ernst & Young, corporate America, right? I was 24 years old. And some Indian uncle was like, hey, do you want to get in the mortgage business? And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't even know what that means. So I had to learn the whole good old fashioned way, right? You talk about education, throw me in the fire. I had to like solicit business, do all the paperwork. At that time, the applications were not digital. Again, I keep aging myself, but like the applications weren't digital. It's all paper. I'm copying shit.
You're like 2002, 2099.
Yeah, 04. Yeah, you're in the right ballpark. Yep. Okay. So 2004 was when I got in the business, 2004. So I got in and it was like, dude, it was no income docs, no income checks, this, that. And there was still a ton of paper. So it was very manual. But then we also had to take that loan and process it, clear conditions and get it out. So from an education perspective, that's how I learned. But one of the biggest things I've learned in general, especially from a sales perspective, like when we think of sales, right, Sharon and I speak about this all the time, like what does it mean to be a salesperson, right? And when I dig deeper into sales, I think of relationship building. And I think of going on a first date. And I think of, okay, when I'm speaking to someone, should I throw up all this shit that I just memorized and spit it out on them? Or should I listen? Right? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Hold it all in. Don't puke. But what I realized was, I'm like, as I started talking more to clients and you could tell they're getting lost, and you have to be mindful, right? So not everyone has a skill to be mindful of who you're speaking to, know what they're possibly feeling or thinking. But I started being a little bit more mindful. So I started asking them questions, right? In an awesome scenario with a client, for example, I would get to know them and say, hey, okay, so like, what's your family made up of? Like, how many kids? How many wives? Oh, would you like enjoy doing shit on the weekend? Whatever the fuck it is, you break down that barrier, right? And then from there is really understanding their needs and walking down the process. That's it. So I think real estate agents is the same shit. The problem with loan officers, in my opinion today, and probably always, is that they're so consumed with closing the deal now, right? Nobody wants to put the freaking effort to give value. And when I say give value, if I'm talking to you, Vikram, you're a real estate agent, I say, hey, we have a DPA product. You might be like, I don't even know what the fuck that means, and I don't have any DPA clients. Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter. It's not impacting my life. But if I ask you, all right, tell me about the clients that you're working with today. Tell me about what is your ideal perfect client to work with. What would you, if you had like utopia, what would that look like? And when you start digging down those questions, you can now mold your position, your question to the agent to really help them and add value. The biggest problem we have, I feel, in most sales, like we're not listening. We're just talking all day. How I'm talking, and I'm not letting you speak.
Oh, you're good, bro. You're good.
But to me, that's where I think the biggest disconnect is. When I think of sales, it's honestly making someone feel good. It's giving education and walking them through the process. And then it's also having the mindset of serving, right? Like our job truly is to serve our clients. And when I say serving our clients, I mean our real estate agents, our borrowers, our referral partners. Like these are all people we are constantly selling. And at our mortgage company, even our non-sales people, quote unquote, our non-sales team members, our processors, we have the same mindset. This is a sales mindset where you have to be able to speak sweetly, understand, have proper etiquette when you speak to people, make them feel good at the end of it. When they hang up that phone with you or when they get off of a Zoom with you, it's like, damn, Cody and Vikram are fucking amazing, which you guys are. And I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. Like that plug, that was good, right?
Yeah,
so that's where, that's where I think there needs to be more quote unquote education for loan officers to really kind of understand and put yourself in the other person's shoes. It's all common sense that we know. I just don't think, I think we think about it a little too complicated. We don't simplify it.
Well, I have this conversation with my sales coach. I have a sales coach, and I have this conversation with Cody and Sharon as well. People think that they need to vomit when people don't have a process to ask questions, they then want to vomit how great they are. And I'm not saying that they're not great. It's just they're still listening to the people that taught training 30 years ago. Correct. And the world has changed where the information, like if I'm going to somebody's house, they've already Googled me. They've already been on my YouTube. They've already seen my Instagram. Like they've already done a deep dive before I walk into their home. And so we don't need to share our accolades because they already see who you are.
Yep.
And but what I was going through like some old presentations that we're putting together some stuff, and I was just going through some stuff. And I remember like the first page of my presentation was the About Us page, but I only had 3 lines highlighted. So there was a ton of information there, but there's only 3 lines highlighted. Everybody's like, why do you have those highlighted? I'm like, because that's the only 3 things we talk about. And then the rest of the 90% is all about the prospect.
Yeah.
And it's just asking questions, like you said, of where you're at. It's a good point, man. Just ask fucking people where they want it, what they need in life, instead of telling how great you are.
Think of any relationship, right? Whether it's with our spouse, our significant other, our parents, our children, our clients. It's all relationship building at the end of the day. I think that's the one key component that sales people miss and they forget because they're so worried about closing that deal. But like I tell everyone this, the relationship starts first. Like without the relationship, you're not going to have anything. And if you build a solid foundation in a relationship, 9 times out of 10, they're going to work with you. They're going to work with their whole entire family. Their network will work for you because they're so excited, right? Human nature, and this is another thing I talk to a lot of people about, is like the psychology of the human being, right? Like it's endorphins, right? You want to feel good after a conversation, just like working out or doing other extracurricular activities. You want to have that release and feel good. And then from there, everyone else is like, oh, dude, like you're like the king of the world. Like you feel great. You feel energetic. You feel all of these things. And I think we miss that. That's an art. Again, I tell people like, I'm not an old person in the industry, but I do think there's value from the experiences we've had so far in life to really simplify your conversation so it's easy to understand. But the key component always is building the relationship. And I think a lot of times, guys, like we don't give ourselves enough credit, where we try and, to your point, read all these books and go to these conferences and talk about this and talk about that. And it's just all nonsense. If you really break it down, it's, are you listening? Are you looking to build a relationship? When that person leaves you through virtually or in person, how do you think they will feel? Will they feel excited? If you create excitement, then they'll want to come back. It's like a drug.
You're so right. And we've chatted about this and me and Vikram were having this conversation today about starting from a place of service, that ideology of humans over homes, people over property. Like when you start there, if you can just shift your mindset towards people over properties, like you are inclined, you are curious, you want to ask better questions, you want to, like, just like even when you like, this is why podcasting or creating content is so good for real estate agents or for lenders, because, or even interviewing or starting your own podcast, because you're forced to put yourself into a situation where it's like, I have to ask more questions. I have to dig deeper. I have to figure out, what did that person actually mean when he said these things? There's a lot of collaboration that is happening with like specifically the lending side. And I'm curious to know, like, if you can kind of unpack like collaboration, because I think collaboration is an element of sales. Like you need to be able to ask good questions. You need to be able to build relationships in order to create effective collaboration. And what you're doing with Real, and even that conversation that you originally had with Samir, where you said, hey, there's something bigger here. We can accomplish something bigger. we can really like what, like that, even that question you asked earlier, like how is are my kids, how are we going to buy real estate in 20 years? What is that going to look like? It changes even the time horizon of how you interact today. Like Sharon says this all the time. He says, like I've heard him say this multiple times where it's like, he's planning his legacy 100 years out. Like him and Peter, one of his partners they have a 100-year plan. It's like, you begin to look at things a lot differently when you look 20 years out, 30 years out, 100 years out. How do real estate agents, mortgage brokers create collaboration that allows them to look 20 years down the road? What does that look like for you? And how can we change the financial bloodline of people that enter real estate, that enter real estate in general?
Yeah, no, I think, like when I think of the relationship between lenders and real estate agents, or mortgage loan officers and real estate agents, I actually joke around. I tell people we're just cousins. Like we're truly cousins of each other. When I go to parties, man, like the amount of alcohol consumed by loan officers and agents, it's mind-boggling. And we're literally the same type of people, right? Which is awesome because we think in that manner. We like to have fun and we work our tails off. And for us, it's really like, it's not about the hours you work. It's about the quality of hours that you put in, right? From a sales perspective. But where I see the most collaboration, which a lot of real estate agents, is funny, right? Like coming into the organization, obviously, like what I loved about open arms, right? Agents are reaching out to us. Welcome to the family. It wasn't like, oh, you're the in-house lender. Go F yourself because I don't want to deal with you. And that's a bad connotation as well, where, to be totally honest, and you guys know this, like when you have in-house lenders, there's a bad rap. Like people are just like, dude, I don't want to fucking talk to you, right? There's that connotation, that notion. If you dig deep, right, I'm a big believer, why is that, right? And the why behind that, quite frankly, is because a lot of lenders take advantage of the opportunity and almost like don't put the effort forward to make the relationship sticky and click with the agents, with their family, right? If you're not going to make it with your family, dude, who the fuck are you going to make it with? So that's the approach we've always had in general, like who we are, our company, our DNA. Before Real, even myself, it's always been about serving. And to us, it was going in. And again, when we talked about questions, Vikram, asking those questions, right? We weren't going into agents asking, how can you give us business? That's the fucking dumb. Like, if I'm a real estate agent, I'm like, go fuck yourself, dude. Like, I'll give you business if I feel like it. But what we started doing was, and we genuinely wanted to really understand their own business. And what we understand too, guys, is like everyone's business is different, right? It's not the same. So we have to understand everyone's unique business and how we can fit in to help. And as we're chatting with a lot of these agents, like, all right, what does your business look like? Where do you want to be in like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 months? What is your plan? Okay, how is it? Okay, someone will say, oh, well, we have a relationship with a lender. That's awesome. I want you to keep that relationship because I'm assuming they're very, very good people. But we want to understand how we can make your lives not easier, right? Because that's another phrase, guys, that gets thrown around a lot. We don't make your lives easier. Yes. If we're, as a mortgage company, not making your life easier already, find another mortgage company because that should already be happening through like automation, transparency, updates, like real time stuff. To me, that's like an operational side. From the sales side, I'm like, how do we help you win more deals? And that's the bottom line question, right? If you think about it, co-marketing structures, there's JV structures, right? But at the end of the day, what do real estate agents want? What do loan officers want? They want clients. They want live deals. That's what they want, right? So how do we position ourselves from a mortgage company, not only to process, originate, create automation, stickiness between, real and the functionality, but if I think deeper, like it all starts with the client. It all starts with the deal. And so what we've been able to really help a lot of our agents, even today at Real, is understanding, do you buy leads? Where do you get them from? How are you attacking those clients? Where are you falling short? What's your conversion look like? They're asking those questions because from our perspective, guys, we're fucking awesome at that. Right? Like I know for a fact when that lead comes in, our scripts are ready to go. We know the timing, know the cadence, we know how to reach out. So what we've been doing for a lot of our agents now is like above and beyond. Like, look, value added. We're in-house, right? This is the value we'll provide you. We will reach out to your clients on behalf of you as a partner with you, right? We are your partner in this and help warm up their client, pre-approve them, get them ready to go to hand them back to you, right? To me, that's how you really work with a solid lender. All of this, pay for this, pay for that, that's great. A few $100 here and there, that's awesome. But we all know in sales, if you get one client, that could lead to 10 if the experience is amazing, right? And we all know that through automation, through tech, and through like sales, I mean, there's other people who are probably reaching out faster and quicker. And so if you buy these leads, which are precious, these clients, these referrals, I tell even in the mortgage world, when any lead that we buy, we should be getting 10 referrals from that lead. That's how we make money. That's how we know that what we're doing works. So to me, that's where I see the biggest upside. Obviously, again, technology, integration, all of those things, uber important. And those are going to help, especially with the client experience as well, even for the agent experience. But it all starts with winning. If they're not winning deals and winning business and getting clients in the door, it doesn't matter what the hell you build. It all starts with revenue.
My loan officer, when I was working, Brady Yeager, he was a coach to me. He was my mentor, right? He was 10 years in the business, and somehow I got introduced to him. I had no reason to sit at his table, but he's like, yeah, come on in. And I'm like, okay. And I knew who he was. I walk into the corner office. He's the VP of the company, suited and booted, chiseled out. Like, I was like, holy fuck, Range Rover in the parking lot. That's his wife's Range Rover parked next to his, right? Checking the office for $100,000 for some investment he did. I'm like,
oh, Vikram, real quick, what car did you roll in with?
At that time, I was rolling in a truck. I had a red Dodge Ram fire truck.
Ooh.
I was flipping houses. 5.7 liter Hemi V8, baby. Muscle. So I rolled in. I didn't even know if I had that car, but I rolled in with something completely not at his level. And we start chatting, and I go, why are you sitting with me? Like, I don't have any business. I don't have any leads for you. He said, Vic, I was referred to you. You're referred to me. You seem like a good guy. You seem like you're hardworking. He's like, if you have enough coffee meetings with people, eventually one of them's going to hit. He's like, and it doesn't hurt me to spend a half an hour educating somebody young that's aggressive in the marketplace. Maybe you don't use me, but you use my company. I still get paid. Maybe somebody needs something, and it's that relationship piece, right? Where he was looking at the tenure. He's like, I can only imagine that in 10 years, you'll send me one deal. He's like, and then this time was worthwhile. It's like, it feeds my team, feeds this. One of the things that I loved about him was that he educated me, right? He sat down with me. He educated. We would go out to dinner together. We'd go to drinks together. He would spend time. And whenever we got together, we would always talk about business, how to get more leads, how to close more deals. How can I pitch him better so that he can keep the people in our ecosystem versus them going out to another bank where I now lose the person talking about me? Because there was a lot of times like, this person's slippery. They're looking at Redfin. They're looking at this discount broker. Like, they're getting slippery, Vic. You gotta jump in. Like, they're talking to other agents, and you're like, shit, we haven't talked to them in, oh my God, it's been 4 weeks. So that relationship kept deals in my pocket, and vice versa. I did the same thing. I'm like, these people are shopping 3 banks right now. They all suck. They're not going to close this deal on time. We have 7 days to close. Like, they think they're going to have a big bank. And that relationship component, which you talk about, was what saved, I don't know how many millions and millions of dollars. How does a lender, right? How does a loan officer take that mentorship role? Because a lot of real estate agents don't realize that a lot of the loan officers go through really good coaching and training programs, completely different than what the real estate industry offers. How do you get that agent, right, that loan officer in your company, and how do we get the agent to have that relationship where they actually see each other as contributing partners versus, adversaries? Because a lot of it, the fuck the lenders, these guys are the ones ruining my deals. No, that's not true.
No, it's look, I think it starts with how you approach the relationship, right? If I say this all the time, if your relationship is based off of money and money only, it's never going to work, right? Like, to your point, the story you told, Vikram, like,
so wait,
you didn't have to spend time.
My OnlyFans subscribers don't actually love me.
No, they don't. Well, I think they like Cody more. It depends. I mean, again, I don't know.
I'm surprised you have any subscribers. But anyways, go ahead.
I love Vikram. I follow both in cat. No, No, but I think it starts with how you build it. Like, here's the thing, guys. It's funny. We'll all hear this crap. I'll do like 10 things right for someone and I fuck up one deal, right? And the agent's like, I'm never working with you again, right? I'm sure we all have heard of it. And I'm like, that's not really a strong relationship and partnership, right? Or I've heard this from other agents, right? Well, hey, like, I was like, what would it take for us to work together? Well, this other guy's paying me for my marketing efforts and this and that, but they really suck. So, but I'm using them because, they're helping with my marketing. I'm like, what? Like, what are we talking about here? And for me, I tell people, no one values time. Nobody, not no one, but many people don't value time. The ones that do value time are the most successful, right? The ones that put all their effort in, value their time. What's my dollar per hour? Where should I allocate my time? I'm not going to waste my time here. I'm going to focus on that because I'm going to have more long-term upside. Vikram, to your point with the example you gave with the loan officer, right? The VP. It's long-term. And that's the biggest problem where I think that's what LOs can do with agents is really break down their time. What does your day look like? Oh, I run around here. What if I can take this piece off of your plate and do it for you and hopefully increase your percentage of sales or deals coming in by 30 to 40%? Would that work for you? Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. So the 500 bucks the other cat's paying you, what does that do for you? When I can help you gain X, right? There's a big talk about, we hear with like all these masterminds and coaches, 10X, 10X, 10X. I tell people all the time, I will do all the legwork. If you have to call our company to find out where your loan is in process, we failed. Like, I don't want you worrying about the mortgage. I don't want you worrying about where the loan is, if the appraisal came back, fuck all that. We should be giving you that information no matter what in real time. You focus your time on getting more business. That's the value I'm going to give you. You're going to earn more than $500 for what the other person's giving you if you don't enjoy working. And the other thing is, you have to enjoy who you work with. Like, you have to truly enjoy it for it to work as a partnership or any relationship. If you don't like the other person, it's based off like, give me a few $100, it's never going to work long term. You have to genuinely have that feeling of getting excited and wanting to just go have a drink and shoot the shit and talk about non-work stuff. So there's a quick acronym here that I've taught to many of my loan officers. I have I'll chunk it down really quickly for you guys, but a little background because I'm a storyteller. When I got tapped on the shoulder to move out of origination into executive leadership, my partner at the time said, I need you to do this. I'm like, fuck. And again, timing is everything. This happened to be December of 2019, on the cusp of the biggest refi boom that we've ever had. And I didn't know it was coming. And he wanted me to go into leadership. So as a good partner, I'm like, all right, dude, I can do it. Let's do it. And I'm sitting there at 4:00 in the morning. And I remember, I used to have $100 million, years, right? As a loan officer, I would crush it. I would literally crush it because I understood the psychology and how to build those relationships. Right. And I'm sitting there thinking, damn, man, I'm about to stop being an LO. How can I get loan officers or anyone for that matter to understand what made me really, really good at my job? And I'm not being cocky, guys. I'm not trying to, but this is something I can give to people to help them become better. I tell people all the time, I want you to be better than I was. So it's an acronym I came up with. I called it CORE, C-O-R-E. And I'm not talking about my core, which doesn't exist anymore, but I'm talking about a belief system, right? Something you can visualize and use to self-check yourself every single day. So the first was communication, right? We talked about how we communicate. It's not about what you say, I tell people, it's about how you say it. When you say it, are you making someone feel really, really good? Are you breaking down content and information for them to easily understand and digest? Are you giving examples for them to break down and understand? Are you communicating in an effective way where you're not losing someone, right? So to me, it all starts with how you communicate with somebody. I joke around with people. When I'm speaking to people in general, when I'm speaking, I'm typically standing. Today, I'm sitting at my home office. But at work, at the office, I have a sit stand. Why? Because that energy that comes out when you're standing, right? Motion creates emotion. That's important because that's what latches someone onto you to be like, oh, damn, I want to keep talking to this person. The O is organization. No matter how good you are at communicating, if you're not organized, if you don't have systems set up, whether it's a freaking spreadsheet, whether it's an assistant, whether it's a whiteboard with all your notes, and if it's broken down into categories, you're never going to succeed, right? That's how you go from good to great. Scale is based on organization. The R is responding with a sense of urgency. One thing that drives me up the fucking wall is when people don't know the answer and they don't respond. I'd say that's the worst thing you could ever do. Respond with urgency. If you don't know the answer, respond and tell them that you're not sure and you will find out. It's okay to be honest, people. You don't need to lie and create a facade that you know everything. People will actually enjoy the fact when you're honest and you say, I don't really know the answer. Let me find out. And one of the things, just quick example on that I used to do, guys, if I'm speaking to a client as an originator and I would get a phone call, I would text. Texting is one of the greatest solutions known to man right now for efficiency. I would text that client immediately and I would try and resolve whatever it is they're trying to figure out with me through text. So now what have I done? I've already communicated, or I'm a call. I'm solving an issue. The client is like, holy hell, you just like help save all this time. There's no more like black hole where I don't know what the hell's going on. So when you don't respond, that's horrible. Like that's one of the worst things you could ever do to lose you'll lose business because you don't respond. And the E is expectations. One of the things I always made sure I did was when I'm speaking to anyone, client, agent, doesn't matter, I would tell them what it is, the current state, what we're looking to do, what we're trying to achieve, what we need, etc. But before I hung up, I would always paint the picture of what's to come, right? And the next, okay, cool. You just signed your application. Awesome. A processor will reach out to your name is Christy. She's going to make sure you're all sorted out. She works directly with the underwriter. From there, we're going to, submit to underwriting. We're going to order you put it in chunks though. You don't give them all at one time. You don't vomit over them. You just give them small little pieces. So every time you have something of value to offer them. And what that does is we know, look, home buyers, even agents, like you want to calm the mind down. When the mind isn't calm and is scattered and unorganized, you create fear. When you create fear, you just start losing your mind, yelling at everybody, and you hate the experience. But when you feel at ease, that's when you're like, okay, cool. I know what's coming. I got it. Awesome. You're not running around getting nervous, right? So if you combine core, communication, organization, responding with urgency and expectations, and I tell everyone you use that as a metric against yourself. Every day you get up, I'm really good at communication, but I suck at organization. How can I get better? That's what I tell people to use as a metric to really help themselves, especially on the sales side, but it applies to anyone in life if you think about it. That's one of the important things that I tell people to take away when it comes to sales, especially.
Yeah, that is so good. I love that acronym. And I think that anyone, whether they're in a admin role, whether they're in a sales role, real estate agent, loan officer, that idea, one of our values at Sheridan Street is over communication with clients and each other. I had a partner when I started my business 5 years ago. His father was the former CEO for Quaker, and he was doing a training with us early on in our business, and he said the only two reasons agents get fired is number one, failure to drive results, or two, communication. Yep. And it's so true. It's so easily fixed, but it's people struggle with the responsiveness. I say to our team all the time, we share the same type of ethos towards that communication, that fast response time. It's let's never get fired because our communication was off. Results, obviously we need to work on driving results, but we will always be responsive. We'll always be communicative. And that can solve a lot of the issues, is communication. And the last thing you said, I was so beautiful, is the expectation, because if you me and Vikram have had this conversation before. It's if you need to excuse yourself from a presentation, or if you need to excuse yourself from doing a walkthrough of a home in order to go take a lead call, you do that through setting expectations on the forefront. And absolutely beautiful. Kind of wrapping up here, Samir, if somebody or some real estate agent is out there right now and they're we don't know how to start the core, or we just have never learned communication. We're just not organized. How do I respond properly? How do I set expectations? I think the expectation piece, if we can end there, I think is probably the best spot, because people don't always know how to set expectations. So therefore they have no ability to be responsive because they didn't set the proper expectations to begin with. How can they start the process if they're not organized, to become organized? If they're not responsive, to become responsive? If they don't know how to set expectations, how do they change their path towards success?
No, it's a great question. So I mean, for us, like, obviously I can share the deck with you guys and you can share with whoever you want because we're all family. So I can do that. But in general, like from a mindset perspective, right? I think it's really looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing and being honest with yourself to see where you lack, right? It's funny, man. Like I'll practice with my kids who are now older, right? Practice with a family member. I tell people all the time, over the weekend, your family will be the most honest person for you. First, the communication piece, right? Like if I tell people, if you're laying on the ground and you're communicating, you sound really mundane and boring. Like, all right, start walking around, start walking and talking. But I think it really comes from a place of compassion. I think it comes from a place of understanding the other side and understanding who they are. You know, from an organization perspective, what are your realistic goals, right? If you're at 5 and you want to get to 20, okay, what is your path to get there? And I think from there, you can start to build and see what systems you need to put in place to do that. Again, and Cody, there's no right or wrong, right? And everyone's personal thing is different. And, obviously we know expectations. I mean, one of the things I made sure our team, and we drilled it in our team's head, right? Even today, I mean, we got on a call yesterday and this one loan officer did really well. So we shouted him out. He's like, dude, it's all about core, right? Like it's drilled in his head. For the expectations, before I hang up the phone, I'm going to make sure I am communicating what to expect next. Like to me, that's the easiest thing you can do. If you hang up without that, pick up the phone and call back and say, hey, Cody, I'm so sorry. I know we hung up on this real quick, but I just want to make sure you know what's coming next. What's coming next is such an important piece because that's the gray area. That's the fear. That's the issues. Where the issues arise when no one said, oh, I didn't know that was supposed to happen. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. But that's, and sometimes as a salesperson, we blame the other person. They should have known. How the fuck do they know? We do this every day. They know. So we should be taking it upon ourselves and be responsible, look at the music. What can we do better, right? Be a thumb pointer, not a finger pointer always, and figure out how you can get better. One of the things, Cody, real quick, you said something earlier which really resonated with me. And, I think you said one person that you spoke to was communication and results, right? So I look at it a little bit differently. And I'm we are a big partner, like a broker with Rocket Mortgage, right? Quicken Loans. We're working with them for, since inception, like 13, 14 years since they're in the wholesale space. We learned a lot about their culture and their isms, right? And I tell everyone, you can go online, look up Rocket Mortgage isms. It's amazing. Like they have the most philosophical things, but it's so easy to understand. But one of the things that resonates with me the most is a saying I say all the time. Money and numbers follow, they don't lead, right? So if you base your whole why on money and numbers and results, they'll never come, right? You have to look at what is the core that you enjoy doing to get, and eventually if you're good at what you do, the numbers and money will follow. The results will follow. Communication, if you communicate really well with people, you've now increased your chance to get that deal. Now you have to do a few other things, but you've increased the chance to get there. And then the numbers will follow, right?
Man,
My man.
super good, bro.
Yeah, like just,
It's been awesome.
yeah, so much value. Yeah, exactly.
That's
a
what I
great
was going to say. I was texting Cody. I'm like, bro, I got to bounce, but we got to get him back on. Like, so much fire. Where do people
So much
find
fire. Yeah, where do people find you?
People find you?
Email me at Samir@lemonbrew.com, SAMIR at LEOMEN, lemonbrew, BREW.com. Or dude, I'm an open book. I love talking to people, just so you guys know, like loan officer, you work with me or not, real estate agent, you're with real or not, doesn't matter. Like I'm here as a resource. I just love talking to people about this, but you could always call me on my cell phone. I always give that out, 908-227-6042. Feel free to call me anytime. I love to talk.
Well, Samir, I want to say thank you. And you heard it here, the #1 real estate podcast in the world, the Our Asia podcast. I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode. We'll see you soon.